ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ओम गंगणपतये नमः। सर्वमंगलमंगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणि नमोस्तुते। ओम नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय नमः शिवाय। ओम ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच्चे। ओम सर्वमंगलमंगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके देवी नारायणि नमोस्तुते। ओम भगवते श्री सजानंद स्वामी महाराजाय नमः। ओम श्री अक्षराय नमः। ओम श्री परब्रह्मणे नमः। ओम श्री राधा कृष्णाय नमः। ओम श्री सियावर रामचंद्राय नमः। ओम चंद्राय नमः। सूर्याय नमः। ओम नक्षत्र विक्रमते नमः। ओम कालकंटकटाय नमः। ओम नवचक्रांगाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम अथ गुरुस्तोत्रम्। अखण्डमङ्गलाकारं व्याप्तमेन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत् सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्ने विराजितपदाम्बुजः वेदान्ताम्बुजसूर्यो यः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यः शाश्वतं शान्तः व्योमातीतं निरञ्जनः बिन्दुनादकलातीतः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढः तत्त्वमालाविभूषितः भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनेकजन्म सम्प्राप्तकर्मबन्धविदायिने आत्मज्ञानप्रदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च ज्ञापनं सारसापदः गुरोः पादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। मन्याथः श्री जगन्नाथ मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। गुरुरादिर नादिश्च गुरु परमदैवतं गुरोः परतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। तमेव माता च पिता तमेव बन्धुश्च सखा तमेव विद्या द्रविणं तमेव सर्वं मम देव इति गुरुस्तोत्रम्। So we are continuing our daily contemplation on the different modalities and ways of trying to realize the ultimate truth. God, Atma, Paramatma, Brahma, so many different names are there and so many different perspectives of how to get to that point. So we're continuing now further in some more depth just to understand the Ashtanga Yoga system, which really has everything combined in it, as I mentioned before. So I want to go a little bit further into the niyamas. This is the second stage. And in that second stage, there are 5 parts to that, or 5 aspects. And they are Shaucha, Santosh, Tapas, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhan. These are the 5 things. So, the development of all 5 brings about the adequate awakening and purification within the system, the psychophysical system, to move to the next stage. So if you remember, there's the yam, niyam, and then the asana stage. So asana stage you can also do in the beginning. It's not like that. We all do some asanas here and there. But again, to properly do the asanas, one has to be guided in the right way. There are many gurus even now. There's online material available. There's so many ways of learning about it, but one has to do it carefully and not to get stuck somewhere in that. So that's where the actual guru should be present. So you can ask questions. They can guide you through the process in the asana and particularly and the pranayama stage. But before all that, or even with some of that, these qualities and this type of a practice, to practice these 5 in the niyamas is what we're going to look at. Today we will continue to look at Shaucha, and I think we may have looked at it before, but I wanted to make some more comments about it and then kind of go into it. Purity, clearness of mind, body, speech, that's kind of what it means. There are 5 simple ways to practice this. And they are: 1 is to declutter, eat clean, do some asana practice that helps, the breathing technique and meditation. These are ways of clearing the mind. Now, some of my thoughts on this I'm going to share with you here. When we use the word purity or cleansing, that would imply that there is something that is to be cleansed. That would also imply that there is some substance or some activity of mind, thought, emotion that is impure. So pure versus impure. How to distinguish that? What is the difference between a pure emotion versus an impure emotion? What is the distinction between a pure thought and an impure thought? What is the distinction between a pure action and an impure action? What is the difference between pure energy and mixed energy, as we mentioned yesterday, through the three gunas, sattva gun, raja gun, tamo gun? So we can see that a separation process is implied here in Saucha. Saucha is a process of cleansing, clearing the mind of the impurities, of the disturbances, distortions, agitations. These things we experience. This is not just an idea. Sachin is speaking here. If Sachin gets worried about something, I can experience worry. If Sachin gets angry about something, I can experience anger. And then I also realize I don't want those emotions. I don't want that contaminant. The notion of contamination is very important to keep in mind. Just like if you have a very nice, healthy, clean, very good, fresh glass of milk, and a drop of potassium cyanide is added inside there, can you drink it? No. The milk is not at fault, but there's a poison inside there. It will be destructive, it will be harmful, it might kill somebody. Similarly, the mind has these poisons, and that is why humanity suffers. Mind has so much difficulty within itself. As we mentioned many times before, the Shadripu, the Kam, Krodh, Lobh, and all those things that are damaging the system. And the recognition of impurity experientially is the guru inside of you. So we always tend to think of gurus outside, gurus, sages, scriptures, murtis of God. We think all of that is outside. Yes, there is an external reality to it because that's accessible through our senses. But that is there so that the internal awakening can happen into the guru state. This is all an internal phenomena. To recognize impurity within is to see it as different from that which is pure. To recognize anger, one must also know that there is something beyond anger. Krodha. When we see that there is kama, the desires, all kinds of desires, kamna, then there could be a state above that. There can be lobha, there can be greed, there can be worry, tension, agitation, things that really bring about excuse me, things that these processes within that bring about pain and suffering, unhappiness, dukkha. And that's the internal guru. The internal guru is one who recognizes through Santa Samagam, Satsang, with the great sages, that the internal agitations are not me. That the agitation is occurring within me. Agitation, difficulty, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, whatever. Anything that is an energy disturbance, we recognize that that's not me. I am different. But now the problem here, this continuous problem for most individuals, is that when the disturbance is there, the anger is there, worry is there, tension is there, fear is there, so all these things. Even if somebody tries to think that, oh, this is not me and all that, they can try to think that way. But it doesn't usually work. It works to some extent, a little bit here and there. They can do some meditation here. Usually it just comes back again. That's the reality. Yeah, we can say we do meditations, do breathing techniques, do pranayam, do asana. You can still do everything. You might even know hundreds of scriptures by heart and still these things come back. You might have even gone in temples, living in monasteries, have left everything in the world, still these things are there. May have done extreme sadhana, these things are there. Still they remain. May have touched the feet of thousands of gurus again and again, still these things remain. May have gone to the temple every day and may have done ritual upon ritual and havan upon havan and yagna upon still these things remain. That's the reality. Let's face the reality. That's the fact. 99.999999% of the human population never gets liberated, nor they ever will. The reason behind that is because we don't want the liberation. Deep down inside, nobody really wants to be liberated. They only want to be liberated when they suffer. They want the liberation from that temporary suffering. What they really want is to continue all of those things that cause the suffering in the first place. Who really wants liberation? Hardly anybody, if anybody even. Hardly anybody. Because liberation is not just a fantasy or some idea or some, oh, I want to get mukti. It's not like, it's a very big thing. Bahut badi baat hai. In the Bhagavad Gita, these things Sachin is saying is all based on the scriptures. See, Adi Shankaracharya said three things are durlabh. Durlabham trayameveta devanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. Three things are rare in life. One is the human body is extremely rare. The Jivatma gets this human body. But more rare than that, even more, much more durlabh in the sense that it's hardly exists, that is mumukshutvam, the desire to be liberated. And if that desire is there, even more rare is shuddha mumukshutvam, total desire to be liberated and nothing else. Extremely rare. And even among those people who are are having that extreme desire for liberation, hardly any of them ever get liberated. Why is that? It's because the level of absorption, intense absorption of satsang inside is what is needed. The more that medicine, that satsang is a medicine, the scriptural teachings and all that, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of absorption inside the panchakosha, inside the entire physical body and mental body and causal body, inside the system. How much is it absorbed? It's not the quantity. Even if one idea gets thoroughly absorbed, it can open up the whole system and one can go into Jivan Mukta state. Even one thing doesn't get totally absorbed. And God knows how many people are talking endlessly. There are thousands of gurus, even right now. So many sampradayas, so many organizations. And for temporary period of time, it all feels good, sounds good, sadhana has done this. And then after some time, person comes right back to point zero again. 99.999% come right back to point zero. And even those gurus that are up there, yes, it's possible that they may be fully in love. See, the problem is we cannot really judge anybody. It takes one to know one. This thing about purity of mind and all that, if our mind is in that state, we will be able to recognize those like that. If our mind is impure, even those who are totally pure, we will see that we will find fault in them. So this is an internal, personal journey. It has nothing to do with anybody else, actually. Even Sachin is speaking right now. It's for Sachin's own development, as a sharing, as a seva. But if there's any ego and man and all these small things, these things come about, or let's say Right now we have a couple of people, coming onto this satsang. Let's say 50 people come, 100 people come some years from now or whenever. The Sachin's ego starts boosting up. Oh my God, I think I know something. I'm teaching somebody. Even if that thought comes, I'm totally gone, destroyed, killer of spirituality. And these are the obstacles. We talk about something like Shaucha. When Patanjali is talking about Shaucha, this is not just an idea. It is a realization through which excuse me. It is a realization through which one lives life with that purified power from within. In the Swaminarayan terminology, this is called ekantik dharma, dharma, jnana, vairagya, bhakti, which I showed you the slides before. This concept, Sajanand Swami Maharaj actually picked that up from Vasudev Mahatma. It's a scripture. Vasudev, most people don't know anything about it. They've never even heard of it. And it's not about Sri Krishna Leela or anything like that. That's a scripture written by Vedavyachi. It's a Mahatma scripture, and in this 4 things are described there. So he pulled it out of there, saying that this is the most he loved that scripture so much because of the total cleansing that can happen when you have dharma, jnana, vairagya and bhakti. When we inculcate, when we have vairagya and jnana and bhakti and dharma and all these things, when we have these qualities, they combine together and they purify the system. That's the first thing that happens. So if we really want Bhagavan, yes, it's actually not difficult. It's because we don't want it deeply enough. If we really go internally, we want something other than God. ये बात बहुत सत्य है. And if we can recognize the truth of that, not by telling 10 other people, it's not like that. Internally, sit in front of the Murti of Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Shiv, Devi, your Guru, Sadguru, Swaminarayan Bhagwan, Gunatitanand Swami, Gopalanand Swami, Ramakrishna Paramas, whoever you believe in, you sit, but they should be original and real. It's not something, fake. And sit and have an honest conversation with them. You can have a conversation with God. In Christianity, that talks about the same thing. Talk to God, Pentecostals and all that. Having a genuine, honest conversation with God is the biggest thing. That's the real intimacy. See, we are keeping God at a distance by worshipping God. This might sound strange. We are interested in worshipping God, not absorbing in God. By worshipping God, we are deliberately keeping God at a distance. This might sound like a very strange thing to say. We do arti, puja, bhajan, kirtan. Oh, so at that time there is some connection. But what we do is that the worship is how can I say this? Worship is a mental activity to eventually build a bridge into absorption. In the Gujarati language, it is called rasbas. That you are mixed inside. Chandan pani. Tum Prabhuji, tum ho chandan ham pani. Like that. You want to get absorbed inside. That's the thing. That's the real thing. If you take even one incident, let's say, of any great sage, and from that incident, we can absorb inside the teaching behind that. Then that internal absorption is the awakening of the Guru Tattva from within. That is 99% of our sadhana. That 1% is the beginning part, rituals and puja and arti and even the satsang Sachin is doing now and presenting all this. This is only not even 1%. It may only be 0.1%. That real thing, the 99.99999, that is internal only. And it has to do with you and God and then service to society, seva in some way or another. Otherwise, the satsang becomes external. Then people are interested in becoming big pandits and big scholars and big this, and then there's some names and fame and all those things. They will not say that. But internally, that rasa of the ego comes. And then that is what is being pursued. So that's it doesn't mean that one shouldn't do whatever they're doing, but the internal development is what this is all about. And if that doesn't happen, then it is the illusion of spiritual progress. It will look like spiritual progress, but it's not actually. It will look exactly like spiritual progress. You will not be able to tell the difference. And that's the danger. The danger is so severe that the ego, with its subtle ways, it will take the scriptures and ideas in all religions, and it will find a way to persist using those scriptures only. My God, I mean, if we think about what that is actually, so that's why, like how we say in Hindi language, Bhakta banna hai na, to become a sacha bhakta banna, become a true devotee. Any amount of devotion, any amount of sadhana, do it from the heart. Do it. It's not the quantity. It's like this. If somebody has made, let's say, 15 different beautiful dishes to eat, wonderful dishes to eat, you cannot eat all 15 dishes. You take something from each one, little bit from here and there, and then you enjoy it, and then you digest it. The amount that is digested is what is known as absorption. This is our food example. Even if you watch a movie or something, how much is it? We get so interested in the story, it gets absorbed inside. Some things, oh, this is a useless thing. Mind is going somewhere else, even though you're watching it. It's not absorbed inside. So the internal absorption of any ideas that are resonating with the ultimate truth. For example, don't find fault with anybody. Avgun nahi lena kisi ka. The whole world knows that. Everybody, 90% of the people know we shouldn't find fault with others. Who doesn't know that? But what is humanity doing? Doing just that. Usme hi sab ras hai. Finding some ways to criticize others, find fault with others, see what the mistakes are. We are interested in seeing everybody and everything else's problems except our own. In Vachanamrutam, it's called Viveki Avivekinu Vachanamrutam, Garada Pratham number 6. And that's what Maharaj, he explained that you see where your deficiency is every moment. And when that happens, wow, that is where the spiritual path begins. That I need to improve myself. Not to obfuscate and not to be biased and justify mistakes and do this and do. No, just be transparent with yourself and be aware, choiceless awareness, and at the same time, don't carry the burden. We carry these burdens inside of distortion because we're so interested in what other people think of us. Whatever they may think of us, they're not thinking of us that much as we think. They're thinking about themselves. Nobody's thinking of us actually. I guarantee you that. Hardly, maybe some people close to us are thinking of us, but they're also thinking of us because of their attachments. इसी कोई आसक्ति और प्रेम में ये बड़ा फर्क है. Asakti is because of I have attachment, and so I am going to be damaged if something happens to someone and this and that. Love is a whole different ballgame. Love is a different dimension. Love mein to vasudeva kutumbakam. Everybody is with me. Then you can declare your enlightenment. Aham brahmasmi, Krishna dasosmi, nijatmanam brahma rupam. But a primary place to see all these attachments is funerals. I attended actually a funeral some years back. Some family, somebody's mother had passed away. It was really quite a sight to see. There were about 15 family members who absolutely hated each other, and I knew who they were. And then they came to that funeral, and then what happened was that they were all crying like unbelievable because of all the mixture, the problems that they had created for that mother, and all the mess that was there. Why is all that thing? Because there's regret. There is this impurity within. You see? And so the antakaran gets disturbed and distorted, and then all of a sudden now people have, it's called smashan vairagya. Isko smashan vairagya kehte hain. You see, go to somebody's funeral, you think, oh, everything is nashwant, everything is temporary. And all of a sudden, everybody has become very, very spiritual for about 30, 40 minutes or so, crying and doing this and that. As soon as they leave there, the next thought is, what is in that person's will? And where am I in that will? That's the only thing. और कुछ नहीं है उसमें. There's nothing. It's all an illusion. This is not spirituality. इसको अध्यात्म से इसका कोई संबंध ही नहीं है. This is all ignorance and human attachment. Purity of mind is a totally different level of realization. In that purity, there is true love for family members. True love, and उसमें अहंकार का कोई स्थान ही नहीं है. This is what Ramakrishna Paramahansa taught. Sachin isn't saying anything. I'm just putting it together and presenting it. That's all. For myself, more than anything else. Ramakrishna Paramahansa would teach again and again, learn to love your family. But people have misunderstood in the Hindu culture, oh, ye sab maya hai, family. Show me one place in any scripture where it says family is maya. I challenge anybody to find even one verse that says that. I have been studying scriptures last 30 years. Nowhere is that written. See the lack of proper understanding. See the distortions that are created inside our community, in what we call the Hindu community. And because of that lack of proper understanding of what is Maya, then there is so much regard and worship for people wearing all this orange clothes and white clothes and yellow clothes and blue clothes and sab tyagi sadhu, and everybody is worshiping because there is this sense that, oh, this family sab Maya hai. That is just not the case. Show me one verse from the Gita, from the Bhagavatam, from anywhere where it says family is Maya. It is not. Family is an extraordinary reality of Bhagavan himself or herself, itself, where there is the tremendous opportunity to examine and explore and express love closely. And that is a doorway into the universal love. Do we think of it that way? What do we say instead? We say, ye sab maya ka chakkar hai. That's not true. Maya ka chakkar kab hota hai? When we are immersed and attached with our ego. That this little family is me and mine only. That's asakti and restrictedness. That's the small little bounded ego. But no, you can take the energy in the ego, get it out of the ego, and just shower love. Now the family, everybody, even if one person in a family comes into this state, everybody will transform. Guarantee, Sachin can guarantee that will happen. Guarantee, 100% guarantee. I've seen it many, many times. It takes one person. I used to do family therapy for years and years. And we used to have families come together and we said, have one person to say, I am going to only shower love. And be tolerant and be respectful and find the creative way, not find faults but find solution instead. And in doing so, the purity that is talked about in Saucha, that automatically comes about. So then family doesn't become Maya. Family is actually, it is a small manifestation of the Paramatma itself. Wow! Should we not live like that? Can we not live like that? See, most of the language used in the culture regarding spirituality is distorted and it's not even accurate. Because there's a misunderstanding of what even Maya actually is. See, think of it this way. In Vachanamrut, Garada Pratham number 1, Sajanand Swami Maharaj said, what is the definition of Maya? He gave a very practical and very useful definition. He simply said, when you are meditating on God, anything that disturbs you in that meditation, that is Maya. So what is that supposed to mean? It means that your internal development, my internal development, our internal development towards Paramatma, whatever is coming as an obstruction in that is Maya. It doesn't mean that female is Maya or male is Maya or money is Maya or the food is Maya that is not Maya. Maya is that which distracts the mind away from that pure connection with the Paramatma. So much misunderstanding is there, and because of these misunderstandings, there are so many problems. And then religion, spirituality, meditation, and all becomes an escape from these problems, from the vortex of problems generated in the families. People say, "I need to get away from this. Go to a retreat. Go to a temple. Go to a monastery. Go somewhere." They feel good for some time, and then what happens? They come right back and says, "Oh my God, ye fir maya ke chakkar mein aa gaye." If we don't want this swinging back and forth like this, because the swinging back and forth is a reactionary process. That's not the real thing. Yes, satsang is great. Going to shibirs and all the, whatever people are doing, it's all fine. But that is not limited to that. It is everywhere, particularly in the home. You know how they say charity begins at home? Let's expand that a little bit. Enlightenment begins at home. And if it's not going to begin at home, it's not going to begin anywhere. So that's just my thought on that, because 30 years of seeing thousands and thousands of people throughout this society, different cultures, different traditions, whether it is African American community, Hispanic community, Caucasian community, the different branches within the Hindu community, it's the same thing. जिसको हम अज्ञान कहते हैं, उसका तो एक ही स्वरूप है. It has just this one thing. और जिसको जो ज्ञान कहते हैं, well, that is also one. Nowhere in what we call Hindu scripture, even that word Hindu is not there, but those scriptures do not talk about escaping from the normal life. They're talking about finding enlightenment within the experiences of life. And that is the great glory. So with those thoughts today, we will conclude today's satsang here. Otherwise, this whole exposition can go on for the next 10 more hours and it will not end. So let's stop it here.